Hello and welcome back to the Self-Actualization in the Age of Crisis Chapter Summary Series. I'm your host, Ron Rivers, and today we're going to be exploring Chapter 2, subsection, Cooperative Work. Now I want to give a little precursor to this video. If you haven't already watched our chapter summary on the Age of Crisis, productivity, and participation, I'd strongly recommend watching that one first because cooperative work is in many ways the solution to overcoming the crisis of productivity and participation. So we can't really talk about the development of cooperation as a root spiritual ethos without really diving deep into its application into our productivity and participation in the world, our work. The vast majority of humanity today is kind of trapped in methods of work that are frankly diminishing to our humanity. They grind us over time to a slow death, as we kind of explore in the crisis of doubt, desire, death, and dogmas, and really diminish our humanity. So we have this crisis of how we can participate and in what frameworks. But if we look back to the history of human work, and I mean the kind of long-term history of our species, we can see that the vast majority of human time experiences have been spent in cooperative work. If you take the nomadic human being, which is the significant majority of our anatomical lifespan in our modern form, work was absolutely collaborative. You were hunting for food and at the same time, trying not to get eaten or trampled or gored. So you always had to rely on your companions, your clan, your tribe, comrades, etc. to kind of watch your back. Just make sure that you were going to be okay as you did your function and they did their function. So this really reciprocal relationship. Now, with the advent of the industrial era, right, industrial manufacturing, that was a major transition in human work that, while we're kind of technologically ascending past right now, we are still trapped in the ethos and beliefs that the industrial era brought. And specifically, the industrial era made the human being an extension of the machine. So rather than being someone who the machine relied on to imagine and create, they simply became another widget in a longer process, right? In mostly pressing example is the assembly line, just someone who would pull a specific lever for 8 hours a day. Now let's also consider the framework of innovation in our immediate present. So the most reliable and consistent funding of new, imaginative, kind of bold ideas comes through venture capital. And while we hear a lot about it, venture capital technically represents a very small pool of investment in relation to the kind of total collective investment happening within a given moment. But even then, venture capitalists invest their money because they expect returns, right? So what that does is it does two specific things for our kind of cooperative work opportunities in our imagination. The first is it makes it fit a very specific form of operation. So what I mean by that is you have to, if you're a venture capitalist funded organization, you're really attempting to kind of scale revenue as quickly as possible. And that is going to encourage a very specific framework of cooperation within your organization, of belief about how you represent people and how you respect people within your organization, as well as the directions of innovation you choose, right? So it becomes less about developing something great and more about developing something that can be monetized. Whether or not it's great, we'll figure it out after the fact. Now, I do want to identify, while the venture capital model and this kind of single market model, which is really at the root of the problem, right? All of our innovations exist within a single market model and therefore must take a specific shape and form in order to have any chance of success. That is not a call to abolish all private investment, right? I do believe that in the future of a self-actualizing society, private investment does have a place, and what that place is to kind of support ideas and visions and creators who are going against the grain, who are building things that are either not popular or don't have general consensus around them yet. And private investment really does play a critical role in that. However, private investment as the sole kind of function of innovation in modern day society, as it is in our immediate present, is an inadequate framework of work to kind of transcend the age of crisis. Cooperative work, and the kind of grander theme of cooperative work, requires environments that are highly flexible and encourage stakeholdership, so ownership of not only the operation but the organization itself, and leverage imagination to the greatest degree possible. I want to be clear that record productivity is not at all our goal. However, it will be a side effect of our transition to a more cooperative system of work. Cooperative work is really a framework of operation and approaching our productivity and participation in a way that rejects the old ethos and the old hierarchical dominion on our productivity and participation within the world. It rejects what work should be in favor for what work is, which is the unleashing of imagination in a collaborative setting.